Elvis can tell us what was new and distinctive about his time without being trapped by it and without trapping us. He can do it because to a great degree, Elvis Presley was the distinctive item for all the writers who have found a neat logic to the development of the music Elvis made and have lost his genius in a process. That is not what I hear. I hear a whole world of music that by no means had to crystallize as it did. I heard the news, Elvis would sing in Good Rockin' Tonight. But he was the news. Elvis's Memphis records, Milk Cow Blues Boogie, You're a Heartbreaker, Good Rockin' Tonight, Baby Let's Play House, might be his best. A choice between The Sunsides and Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, All Shook Up, Reconsider Baby, Suspicious Minds, and Long Black Limousine is not one I ever want to make. Elvis's first music deserves a close and loving attention, not simply because it represents all that Elvis and those he has sung for have lost. Youthful exuberance, innocence, haven't we tired of that story? But because this is unquestionably great music, fun to think about, and because this music foreshadows and contains the entire aesthetic Elvis has worked out over the 20 years of his career. This is emotionally complex music that can return something new each time you listen to it. What I hear most of the time is the affection and respect Elvis felt for the limits and conventions of his family life, of his community, and ultimately of American life captured in his countrysides, and his refusal of those limits, of any limits, played out in his blues. This is a rhythm of acceptance and rebellion, lust and quietude, triviality and distinction. It can dramatize the rhythm of our own lives well enough. Even the lyrics evade any possibility of camp, unlike so much of 50s rock and roll, including Elvis's RCA material, which was made with a trendy commercial ear. The blues and country motifs of the Sunsides are as lively today as they were old in 1954. If it takes a little effort to trace That's All Right and Milk Cow Blues Boogie back to Son House's epic My Black Mama, cut in 1930, it takes even less to follow the trail forward to the Rolling Stones or the Allman Brothers. Not surprisingly, on the album that today features House's masterpiece, Really, the Country Blues, there is an ancient, quiet statement of the theme Elvis brought home with such force. Made in 1928, it comes deadpan, spoken over a pretty little guitar line by one William Moore. An old mood, there too in Harmonica Frank or the Allman's Pony Boy, but to modern ears about what Elvis was. This is old country rock. Come on, Bill. Let's take them for an old country rock. Let's go back down the Rappahannock, down Tappahannock way. Look at Bill while everybody rocks. Get that old rock, Bill. Everybody rock. Old folks rock. Young folks rock. Boys rock. Girls rock. Trot back, man, and let me rock. Rock me, sis. Rock me. Rock me till I sweat. Trot back, folks. Let your pappy rock. Pappy knows how. Children rock. Sister Ernestine, show your pappy how you rock. Mighty fine, boys. Rock it. Rock it till the cows come home. Whip that box, Bill. Whip it. Too sad for the public. Now up the country. Back down the country again on that old rock. Rappin' a hawk. Tappin' a hawk. Cross the river, boys. Cross the river, man. It's sporty. Play it, Bill. Play it till the sergeant comes. No one could ask for a better summation than that. Elvis moves out. Elvis first went into Sam Phillips' studio to work in June 1954, and it did not take him long to get to the point where he could make his first record. It is impossible to imagine a more natural sound. There's more here than anyone could have guessed. He seems to be saying more soul, more guts, and more life. That's All Right was one of 3 Arthur Crudup tunes Elvis recorded. Crudup had cut many sides for RCA's Bluebird outlet in the 40s and early 50s. He wrote good songs, pointed little messages of loss fitted to bright blues melodies, but he was a minimal guitarist and an erratic singer, a bit one-dimensional. Only on numbers that verged on country or pop styles, as with his lovely So Glad You're Mine, which Elvis recorded in a disinterested manner soon after reaching RCA, does Crudup seem to hit his stride. Elvis reduces the bluesman's original to a footnote. He takes over the music, changing the words and tightening verses to suit himself. hanging onto the ends of lines as Scotty Moore chimes in with pretty high note riffs. Elvis sounds very young, sure of himself, ready to win. He turns Crudup's lament for a lost love into a satisfied declaration of independence, the personal statement of a boy claiming his manhood. His girl may have left him, but nothing she can do can dent the pleasure that radiates from his heart. It's the blues, but free of all worry, all sin, a simple joy with no price to pay. Phillips put out the record on July 19, 1954, and it soon earned its place on the Memphis R&B charts along with new hits by Muddy Waters and Johnny Ace. Cashbox, oblivious to Presley's color, reviewed the side as a blues. Billboard prophetically saw potential in all markets. It was an event, to some a scary one, but if That's All Right brought home the racial fears of a lot of people, it touched the secret dreams of others. If it was a threat, it was also another ride on the raft. Quote, "It was like a giant wedding ceremony," end of quote, said Miriam Keisker, Sam Phillips' working partner, and the one who first heard in Elvis's voice everything Phillips was after. Quote, "It was like two feuding clans who had been brought together by marriage," end of quote. Quote, "That's All Right" was a tremendous hit with teenagers, and in Memphis, where the record broke first, the current greeting among the teenagers is still a rhythmical line from the song. Quote, "Ta-dee-da, dee-dee-da," end of quote. And that was from the Memphis Press Scimitar in 1954. You can't get that kind of success in Billboard. Quote, "Son's newest star," end of quote, as the Press Scimitar called Elvis. Wasted no time taking advantage of it. He tried out his material in the local clubs, drew 3,000 people to the opening of a shopping center, and busted up a big country review when he sang a song called "Good Rockin' Tonight." Phillips, for his part, wasted no time getting Elvis back into the studio and a new record into the stores. That's All Right was an easy ride. Good Rockin' is a cataclysm. It reflects the new confidence of a young man who knows what it means to satisfy an audience, to take them beyond their expectations. The record is charged with an authority that no other country rocker ever approached. Roy Brown, the most influential blues singer of the 40s, wrote the tune, and Wynonie Harris made it a hit in 1948. Harris was a sophisticated uptown R&B vocalist. His Good Rockin' is a conventional jump blues, lacking real tension or drama. He seems unable to exploit the stomping promise of the lyrics in rhythm or phrasing. He bumps words into each other and sometimes trips on them. He's too removed from the country revel the song is all about, and too cool. Elvis opens with a high, wild wail and pulls fast and hard into the first verse before the echo of his shout has had a chance to fade. His voice is raw, pleading and pushing, full of indescribably sexy asides, the throaty nuances that would flare up into All Shook Up and Burning Love. Elvis slows for a second in the middle of a line, drawling softly over his shoulder as if he can't quite bring himself to say out loud how good the party's going to be, and then suddenly he is out of breath, as if he's run for miles to tell the story. But there's good rockin' tonight, and everybody has to know. How could they live if they miss it? Tonight his girl will get everything she's been missing. We're gonna rock all our blues away. He can't tell it fast enough. He can barely keep up with himself. Near to bursting, the song slams home. Milk Cow Blues Boogie came out in January 1955 with writer's credit on the label going to Kokomo Arnold, a Georgia-born blues singer who recorded Milk Cow Blues in Chicago in 1934. One always reads that Elvis recreated Arnold's song, though apparently no one has bothered to listen to both men. Elvis takes all of one verse from the blues man. Presley's style might well owe something to Arnold. They share a fast, nervous delivery. full of unpredictable swoops and moans, a flair for crazy quilt tempo changes, of tremendous excitement, and the ability to come down with a great force on a key line. But Milk Cow was a song held in common long before Elvis was born, recorded by more blues and country singers than anyone has bothered to count. What Elvis did, in fact, was to throw a bit of Arnold, who perhaps Phillips played for him, into Bob Wills' Western swing hit Brain Cloudy Blues, which was cut in 1946. Brain Cloudy, highlighted by Wills' fiddle and a tough guitar solo, featured the straight, insulated vocal of Tommy Duncan up against Wills' patented cornball asides, which worked very effectively to bleed the punch out of every line. Elvis started with Wills' second verse, dropping the Brain Cloudy motif, faded to Arnold, and then finished off with Wills' words, changing lyrics when Duncan's crisp, almost effete diction threw him off. I go into the musicology of this song in some detail because of what it can tell us about how these first records came about. The book on Elvis's early music is that it was spontaneous, without any evident forethought, unself-conscious. In other words, Elvis was the natural, and the implicit assumption is likely unthinking expression of a folk culture. I've tried to present some hints of the culture Elvis came out of as a set of forces that could have held him back and worn him down as easily as they gave him life, to build a context that puts us in touch with will and desire, not just smug sociology. Researching his biography of Elvis, Jerry Hopkins dug back into the world Elvis left behind in Memphis, and he found that nearly every record Elvis made with Sam Phillips was carefully and laboriously constructed out of hits and misses, riffs and bits of phrasing held through dozens of bad takes. The songs grew slowly over hours and hours into a music that paradoxically sounded much fresher than all the poor tries that had come before, until Presley, Bill Black, and Scotty Moore had the attack in their blood. And yes, didn't have to think about it. That's not exactly my idea of spontaneity or unself-consciousness. Elvis had the nuance of cool down pat, the pink pants and shirt outfit he wore to his audition, the carelessness of his swagger, or the sneer around the edges of his smile, because the will to create himself to matter was so intense and so clear. He strolled into the studio and didn't leave until every note was perfect. Even later at RCA, still on the way up and wavering between complete self-confidence and a lingering doubt, he would demand 30 takes on Hound Dog, pleading for one more try long after everyone else was satisfied. Try to wash the images of success from your mind and picture a 20-year-old in a tacky studio on perhaps his 15th take of a song that is coming together out of fragments of memory, old 78s, and pure instinct. Everything was riding on each new release, whether Elvis could really take his career beyond the commonplace expectations of those around him, whether he could top that last record, whether he could find a sound that would give him room to breathe and yet hold the fans he had won and spread the word. The little success he had achieved was fragile. Each new record risked it. He had to take that energy of desire and distance himself from it, throw it into the song so that it would be coherent and powerful as a song, so that when he sang, "Tonight She'll Know I'm a Mighty, Mighty Man," it would sound like an obvious, thrilling statement of the facts. Whatever strain there might have been in his voice or his hopes, that unpleasant hint of the small time that you can hear so plainly in Bill Haley and so many of Elvis's imitators, it had to go. The talent was there and it was extraordinary, but it was complex and it needed a form. They were in the studio a long, tiresome time to catch the spirit of a boy who on record sounded as if he flew in, stopped long enough to blow the walls back, and exited through the unhinged back door with a grin. With Milk Cow Blues Boogie, we are back to the image Cash chose as the essence of the soul of the backcountry South. Hot, heavy air bursting all over the sky and lightning and rain. No music of any kind captures it better than this record. Wills and Arnold move right into the song. Elvis lingers over the first lines and his voice drips in erotic tension that must have melted the mic. Quote, "Oh well, I woke up this morning and I looked out the door," end of quote. He has you. You're hungering for whatever comes next, but he cuts you off. Quote, "Hold it, fellas," he shouts. "That don't move me," end of quote. Soft and sultry again. Quote, "Let's get real. Rio gone for a change," end of quote. It's too perfect. You think he must be reading lines, as if this is a scene from one of his movies. And it is, I guess, even if at this point the dreams were only in his head. Elvis charges the song, shooting that boundless well out ahead of himself. And the three of them are off. Elvis spurs the changes with his guitar, flying all over the story he is telling. His woman is gone and he wants her back, but she's got about 5 minutes to make up her mind. Singing with the crazy shifts from high to low that with Buddy Holly sounded funny and with Elvis sound frightening. In 2.5 minutes he carries his listener through anger, loss, bemusement, melancholy, violence, defiance, fatalism, menace, delight, freedom, and regret. The song is as sure and tough a tale of breaking loose as any there is. Yodeling, roaring his anger, yelling out to Scotty Moore, "Let's milk it!" He comes off the guitar solo in a new mood, almost reflective now, meditating. This is all moving very fast, but his guitar has somehow settled the music, and if his girl is gone, if that milk cow is never coming home, he still has time to step back and bring us into the song with a little blues philosophy. Quote, "Well, good evening. Don't that sun look good going down? Well, good evening. Don't that sun look good going down? Well, don't that old moon look lonesome when your baby's not around?" End of quote. And then rage pours back over his acceptance. He calls back his woman and faces her down, the song picking up momentum, his voice shimmering and shaking through night air. Quote, "Well, I tried everything to get along with you. Now I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit my crying. I'm going to leave you alone," end of quote. And suddenly driving even harder, cursing with two of the most perfect lines in blues, quote, "If you don't believe I'm leaving, you can count the days I'm gone," end of quote. Again, it is his authority that is so astounding. Scores of singers, black and white, have sung those lines, but few, if any, have ever made them seem so real, so final. The fatalism that is written right into the song, and that lovely image of the setting sun and the rising moon, will not do for Elvis. And he sings those last hard lines with an intensity that wipes out everything that has come before. A blues singer would use this verse as balance, to dramatize the rise and fall of his spirit, translating the circle the natural world draws around him into a metaphor for his inability to master his life. For Elvis, young and on his way, feeling his growing power over audiences, the growing space between himself and everything he should have taken for granted, there comes a point where he cannot settle for what others have made of this song. And the balance tips to fury. Our boy will get what he deserves. Everyone else can get out of the way.